What is up, everybody? This is Lyle, No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. I'm coming at you from a little off-brand convenience store type deal out here in Waterloo, Iowa. I'm supposed to be taking this load to Sioux City, Iowa. Hopefully this is the load before my last load before I go home. Like I said, I'm not trying to get cute and, make a bunch of stops on the way there. Especially this mood I'm in right now. First of all, I've been out way too long. And then I had somebody ask me a question about what was brought up in one of our safety briefs. I didn't even realize that it was mentioned until they told me, and then I looked it up, and I'm going to try to say what I'm feeling. I will discuss this in depth more down the road. But the way I'm going to bring it up in this video, you might have to read between the lines, because I really don't want to say anything until I cool down a little bit. Like micromanaging baby mode up in this piece. But anyway, let's talk about, I think one of the things that frustrates me the most about being in the trucking industry as opposed to the businesses I was in before, Marines, car sales, banking, mortgage industry. In the Marines, your leaders are people that have all done the stuff that they're going to be asking you to do. Same thing in the car business. I mean, very rarely you'd have like maybe a family member that, never really was on the front lines that became a manager. Definitely in the mortgage industry or management, at least direct management, is typically going to be somebody that's been in the business. So one thing that people have always been able to say is, and I could say it as a manager in the mortgage business, is I'm not asking you to do anything I haven't done myself. And that's the one thing about, and I can't speak on the whole trucking industry, I can only speak about where I'm at now, but it's one of the things that frustrates me is that a lot of people that are making decisions have never been on the front lines. If they have, it's been so far back that you almost can't count it. So that is very frustrating. But I want to tell you a story about how I'm why I got in the mortgage business, and probably why I am where I am right now in the trucking industry. The car business was a grind that I really did not see myself doing for that long. I mean, the money was excellent, but I was always looking for a way out. And one day I got a call from one of my friends, and he said, "Lyle, what have you been doing?" And I said, "I've just been chilling, whatever." He said, "Hey man, I'm a manager up here at this Land Rover dealership, and we're looking for a salesperson, and just wanted to hit you up and see if you were interested." Now, I'd been trying to get out of the car business, but he was telling me about how everything was so great over there, company culture, things like that. For those of you guys that are in the car business, this was the kind of place where it was a small boutique dealership. It was called Land Rover Denver East, selling to high-end clients, things like that. Because of who we were selling to, it was very low pressure. Damn, Swift just ran a 4-way stop. Lord have mercy, he got lucky, because there was some traffic that is just reaching that right now. But anyway, very small sales staff, 6 people. A lot of car dealerships, you could work as many hours as you want. At this place, it was a closed floor. You could only work the hours you were scheduled, and the hours were like 9 to, I think the first shift might have got off at 3, and the next shift got off at like 8. In the wintertime, we were closed at 7, where most dealerships are closing like at 9. So it was just like amazing. Salespeople have been there for, years. We'll get into that in a second. So I go to work there and I'm like, this shit is amazing. I love this. Now I'm not even thinking about getting out of the business. I've worked there probably a total of about 11 months. Well, around the 9th month, they asked my friend, hey man, do you want to be the general manager? And he turned it down because, to quote him, the higher up you are, the closer you are to the door. And that really didn't make sense because this dealership had had people and managers around forever. The only reason that he got the job was there was a manager that left. Retired, actually. So anyway, he turns it down. A new manager or new general manager gets hired. And he starts changing up the culture, right? So first thing he did, well, it wasn't immediate, but then my friend got fired. But then he brought along this culture where if people come on the lot, let's say they were there on their lunch break and they were like, all right, see you later. Well, if you didn't go tell the manager and have them talk to him before they left, now that became a big deal. It became this high pressure type deal. Before, we were kind of working our deals ourselves. The managers were basically facilitators. Anyway, he opened up the floor where salespeople could work as many hours as they wanted, which wouldn't have been a problem because the salespeople that were there we would have just kept it the same. But then he hired on 3 more people. And then now, you had to do it because these guys were here all the time. It just changed the culture. It changed it from a high-end boutique dealership to be like some high-pressure, like we were selling cars to like athletes and business people and all that kind of stuff. And now we're trying to treat them like they're in there looking for a Chevy. Anyway, he changed the culture so bad that one of the guys that had been there for almost 20 years, he was already in retirement age. He decided to retire. There was another guy that had been there probably for 15 years. He ended up leaving and going to manage a Mercedes dealership. They'd been trying to get him over there for a while, and that was the push on him. I don't remember what happened to a lot of the other people because I was the next one. Nope, I wasn't the next one. There was a girl that had been there. She was hired as a new salesperson like in the late 80s, so I don't remember how long she'd been there, but she ended up leaving, then I left. And I would never have left. I would have stayed. That was the dealership that you retire from. And all because somebody came in there and changed the culture. It went from being a place that you wanted to go work at to a place that you kind of, it just became a job. And the numbers started, obviously it was a job, but the numbers started declining at this place from what I heard. I really didn't keep in contact with a lot of the people there, but I did keep in contact with my friend that got fired, and eventually the numbers got so bad that when the owner had an opportunity to sell, he sold out. And I kind of see a lot of the same things happening now. And it always starts off as something little, then it's like something added on and something added on and something added on. And if you know me, I've already mentioned, I'm not that much of a, I really don't get enjoyment out of driving. And if now it's just going to be kind of a business relationship, then I'm going to have to look at it more as a business myself. And I've been thinking about this and what does that mean? I'm not going to get too into it right now, but really what it means is I'm going to be looking out for me a little bit more. I mean, I am loyal to my fleet manager, things like that. And I oftentimes put him in front of me. That's, I'm not sure how that dynamic's going to change, but there's just going to be certain things that I'm just not going to do. So I really don't want to get, I mean, I'm sure that I will at some time or at some point get into this a little bit more, but the company culture is just severely in turmoil right now. And there's always been that segment of people that are there that have always just been negative, and every time they had the chance to say something negative, they would. And now it's just becoming more and more evident, and then it's just more and more micromanagement. And, you know, there's things that could be changed, but why not sometimes people that have never done it have no idea of how important some of these easy changes would be. You know, we've been talking about this whole personal conveyance thing, and I haven't been on a fleet that's had to call for it yet, but trying to add people or trying to make people call in for that, and they're going to say nobody's saying that it bullshit. Nobody, you know, they're trying to say that nobody's been on hold, nobody's had any problems, and I can absolutely guarantee that that has been a problem. And if you want to hire some people to answer some phone calls, how about hiring some people to answer some phones when it's at night and you're sitting? Some of these places you just cannot sit somewhere and wait for 30 minutes for somebody to pick up the live load call. You know, the place I just picked up at out in Greeley, Colorado, boom. It would be nice if they gave you the paperwork when they assigned you the trailer, then you could just do it while you're sitting out there, but you can't. So now I got to leave, find a place to pull over, do all my stuff, make the call, and it's just like ridiculous. How easy of a fix is that? But rather than, I don't even want to get into a lot of this stuff, so I'm going to just stop it right here. But some of the focus, I think they see stuff a lot differently. Somebody's flying a drone. If I lived over there, I'd probably try to shoot that thing out of the sky. But maybe it's their house, I don't know. But it's really, man, I'm gonna have to save some of this for a little bit later. I don't want to get too deep into it, but it is I think that people are thinking that they're doing a good job, and they're always, people may be able to look at things and say, well, the numbers are here. The numbers are here. Look at the numbers. You know what? At some point, the numbers will be there, and it's going to be a whole lot easier to handle because you're going to have less drivers to deal with, which is fine in this market. But when things pick up, I can assure you, I'm not even going to go into that right now. I'm not even going to do that because I'm a little pissed off right now. I might actually have to do this one when I get home on a live, when I'm a little bit more relaxed. But it's easy to talk about safety when you're sitting in a seat. You know, I think the one thing that irritated me a while back, and I'm going to end this like after this, was when somebody had mentioned in a meeting about how long it took to go through inbound, and what somebody had the nerve to say was, you should appreciate that because your trailer's getting taken care of, and you know, now you don't have to worry about any inspections or this or that, and try to make it into a good thing. You know what? Anybody that's in-house at Prime, how about you pull up to your house, sit in your driveway, and wait for 2 hours or an hour before you go inside, and see how that is. I mean, one thing that I would rather prefer, or one thing I prefer is, and I think this happened probably in the Marines more than any place I've been in, is if somebody was shoveling you some shit, they were telling you it was some shit. Nobody wasn't like trying to, you know, shine up the turd and then, you know, hand it over to you. They'd say, you know what, this is some fucked up shit. I know it's some fucked up shit. You know, but this is how it is. Don't be out here. Oh, I cannot stand it when people. I absolutely hate it when people try to. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it at this. I appreciate you stopping by No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. As of right now, I couldn't be happier with my dispatcher at Prime. Other than that, I might be up in the air as far as my feelings on it right now. We'll see. We will see. Comment, subscribe. I'm out.